largest ever family tree spanning 11 generations has revealed fascinating details about the lives of Westerners over the past 500 years. Scientists trawled 86 million profiles from a genealogy website to uncover a family of 13 million people from Europe and North America. By looking at their genetic data, they were able to piece together their migrations and marriages. The results reveal that despite the invention of the railway and the first motorway, most baby boomers in Britain married someone within 6 miles, 10 kilometers, of where they were born. In the US, people married partners living 6 miles, 10 kilometers, away only before the Industrial Revolution made it easier to travel, which meant many likely married cousins. The reconstructed pedigrees show that we are all related to each other, said Peter Bister, a quantitative geneticist at University of Queensland who was not involved in the study. This fact is known from basic population history principles, but what the authors have achieved is still very impressive. .85% of the profiles on the website Genie.com originated from Europe and North America. Users can create profiles, and they can upload their own family trees. And what makes it really unique is that Genie scans the profiles for similarities and merges those trees if they see the match of a person, said lead researcher Joanna Kaplanis from the Wellcome Sanger Institute. So if the same person appears in multiple trees, they'll offer to merge those trees. Using the data, researchers were able to track different migration events such as when Columbus landed in the Americas and when the Dutch went to South Africa. They could also track when the first migrants used the Oregon Trail in search of new lands, an opportunity in 1836. Scientists found that recent reduction in genetic relatedness in Western societies had more to do with shifting cultural factors than it did with the advent of transportation. Even when people started to move away, they were still marrying people who were quite related to them. There was around a 50-year lag, said Dr. Kaplanis. It seems that it was cultural differences that changed that norm, she said. Before 1850, marrying in the family was common to someone who was, on average, a fourth cousin, compared to seventh cousins today. What are the trends in Western migration over the past 500 years? Looking at migration patterns, researchers led by Columbia University found females migrate more than males in Western societies, but over shorter distances. However, for those born in 1950, that distance had stretched to about 60 miles, 100 kilometers, as it became harder to find the love of your life, researchers found. changing social norms, rather than rising mobility, may have led people to shun close kin as marriage partners, researchers say. Before 1850, marrying in the family was common to someone who was, on average, a fourth cousin, compared to seventh cousins today. Curiously, the researchers found that between 1800 and 1850, people traveled farther than ever to find a mate, nearly 12 miles, 19 kilometers, on average, but were more likely to marry a fourth cousin or closer. It became harder to find the love of your life, said Yana Burlick, a computer scientist at Columbia University and chief science officer at MyHeritage, a genealogy and DNA testing company that owns Genie. Scientists found that recent reduction in genetic relatedness in Western societies have more to do with shifting cultural factors than it did with the advent of transportation. Even when people started to move away, they were still marrying people who were quite related to them. There was around a 50-year lag, said lead researcher Joanna Kaplanis from the Wellcome Sanger Institute. It seems that it was cultural differences that changed that norm, she said. We were able to track different migration events. You can see as people start being born in different places. You can see when Columbus landed in the US and when the Dutch went to South Africa, said Dr. Kaplanis. It became harder to find the love of your life, said Yana Burlick, a computer scientist at Columbia University and chief science officer at MyHeritage, a genealogy and DNA testing company that owns Genie. HOW did they work out longevity? Another aspect of the study was working out whether longevity was largely down to our genes or lifestyle choices. They excluded twins, individuals who died in the U.S. Civil War, World War I and II, or in a natural disaster, inferred if relatives died within 10 days of each other. They compared each individual's lifespan to that of their relatives. They found that genes explained about 16% of the longevity variations seen in their data, on the low end of previous estimates which have ranged from about 15% to 30%. The results indicate that good longevity genes can extend someone's life by an average of 5 years, said Dr. Ehrlich. That's not a lot, he added. Previous studies have shown that smoking takes 10 years off of your life. That means some life choices could matter a lot more than genetics. Significantly, the study also shows that the genes that influence longevity act independently, rather than interacting with each other, a phenomenon called epistasis. Some scientists have used epistasis to explain why large-scale genomic studies have so far failed to find the genes that encode complex traits like intelligence or longevity. If some genetic variants act together to influence longevity, the researchers would have seen a greater correlation among closely related individuals who share more DNA, and thus more genetic interactions. However, they found a linear link between longevity and genetic relatedness, ruling out widespread epistasis. How did they verify their data? In order to check that the data set was representative of the general U.S. population, researchers cross-checked the subset of Vermont Ungini. Profiles against the state's death registry. There is a geographical bias as most of our users are from Europe or the US, so we don't have a global view, said Dr. Kaplanis. However, to test this socio-economic bias, we collected death certificates from the Vermont Department of Health and matched those death certificates to the data in the tree, she said. Researchers also obtained every death certificate issued in the state of Vermont, which has an open policy about death certificates, from 1985 to 2000, for a total of nearly 80,000 records. Through the hard work of many genealogists curious about their family history, we crowdsourced an enormous family tree and boom, came up with something unique, said Dr. Ehrlich. All of the data researchers downloaded is publicly available, and people will be able to download their information onto the tree and add to the wealth of information. All of the analysis was done on individuals who are deceased. It's an exciting moment for citizen science, said Melinda Mills, a demographer at University of Oxford who was not involved in the study. It demonstrates how millions of regular people in the form of genealogy enthusiasts can make a difference to science.